Hey there, hope all is right in your world. So I purchased this card and it's altered, and I meant to do it. I had to think while I was researching it, what am I willing to do to add a card to my collection that you never see? In this case right here, I had to really think. Alterations, restorations, trimming. What are we willing to accept to add a card to our collection, and how are collectors really starting to rethink this as we're moving forward? Let's talk about it. Walter Johnson, the big train, one of the greatest pitchers who ever played, one of the original inductees into the Baseball Hall of Fame with Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Christy Mathewson, Honus Wagner. In fact, Ty Cobb said that he was the greatest pitcher who ever played and that his fastball was so fast that it would go by you and all you'd hear is the catcher's mitt pop. And so, in looking at this card, I mean, this is a key card for anybody that collects pre-war cards. And the thing that gave me a little bit of a hiccup was the fact that on the back, it's a Sovereign 150 subjects back. When you go and take a look at the pop reports, you'll actually see that PSA has only graded 21 of these. And of the 21, 15 of them are 1.5s, 1s, or authentic. So if I wanted to add this card, I knew that it was going to have to be a really low grade card. And this one right here, the eye appeal is outstanding. It gave me a price point that I could certainly enter. So looking at all of that, and also looking at the types of things that were wrong with it in terms of the alterations, I'll get to that in a second. It's a card that I decided to pull the trigger on. Afterwards, I was kind of curious when researching for this video how many of these existed on the SGC side, because when you look at SGC, the flips don't delineate the backs like PSA does. And so what I did was I contacted Chris Torres, who's the resident T206 expert in our hobby right now, an amazing YouTube channel. If you go and check it out right here, I'll leave a link. And if you go look at his IG channel really outlines the cards he's purchasing, the numbers that they exist in, and how hard they are to get. So he got back to me right away, and he told me that the key for SGC is to take a look at the flip. The labels clearly say that 1909 is when the Sovereign 150s were printed. And so he said that's the only way that you can tell if it's a 150. Aside from having the card in your hand. He figured there's probably between about 7 to 10 subject 150s in the Sovereigns that have been graded by SGCs. So if you couple that with the PSAs, you're looking at about 30-ish, aside from the ungraded cards that are out there. So that was a nice little tidbit, and it really kind of cemented why I purchased the card. It's super rare, and I was willing to accept the flaws that it had. Let's take a look at those. Condition. It's something that exists every day in our hobby. It's pushed by the grading companies, and of course it's something that we've always used when we've looked at cards at card shows. And so what I want you to do is I want you to really think, we're dealing with vintage cards here. These cards are decades old, and in this case, it's over 100 years old. That's a lot. And when you think about it, you think of all the people that have touched this card over the time that it's existed. I'm sure there have been all sorts of things that have happened to it. And so I want you to really think about what you're willing to accept when you buy a card. In my case, I know that trimming, that's something that I can't accept. Something where there's a straight edge that shouldn't be there or a 90-degree angle that shouldn't be there. Something where somebody takes a color and maybe highlights some of the things to bring the color back. If it's faded, not a chance. But where a kid took a little bit of pencil a long time ago, and then somebody took an eraser and tried to lightly smudge away, and it adds to the eye appeal, that was something I was willing to consider. And so I want you to think about that as well. What are you willing to consider? I mean, think about it. These cards have been around for a long time, and when they're rare, it's something that you have to be able to think about if you want to pull the trigger. When taking a look at the card on the PSA website, you can clearly see that the card has not been trimmed. The corners are honest for sure, and there's a bit of registration from the top down to the bottom that's a little bit off, but most of the 150 subjects have that. There's definitely some centering issues from left to right, and there's a fairly significant tobacco stain on the top, but it's not too terrible. And looking at the back, the green on the back just pops off of that. There's a little bit of tobacco staining, but nothing really to be too concerned about. You can certainly see the off-centering from right to left. So the question I had to ask myself is, what on earth is wrong with this card? It certainly checks out as a 1.5, a 2. There are no creases at all on the card. And so I called up a good friend, and he was able to find out that somebody had actually scribbled little pencil marks all the way around Walter, and then subsequently somebody else erased them. That's it. That's the only reason why this card is altered. It hasn't, the actual physical card itself has not been tampered with in any way except for the surface. So in terms of eye appeal, you have to say to yourself, this is a really rare card. Am I willing to accept the imperfection that I can't see so that I can add this card to my collection? And so that's what I did, and I don't regret it one bit. Another way we can look at rarity is we can compare it in terms of hobby perception with other backs. In this case, I want you to take a look at the Hindu backs. Super popular back that a lot of people love, and the prices for this type of card are certainly a little higher than the Sovereign 150s, but when you take a look at the numbers, there are actually 19 Hindu backs that are available in the Walter Johnson portrait, and compared to the 21 PSA Sovereign 150 backs for the portrait, the Hindu actually comes straight in line. And so it's another piece for affordability that you can take a look at. I can get the Sovereign back that is just as rare as the Hindu back. I know the population counts for the grade themselves. The Hindus, there are a few more that are in better grades, but they do kind of come in line. And so this is another way in terms of an avenue of affordability. You can take one that's just as rare, that might just not be as popular as another back, and then you can purchase it for your collection. Just give it a think sometime. The T206 Walter Johnson portrait with a Sovereign 150 back. Definitely a rare card for sure, but a card that's been tampered with. And so I had to decide if I was going to add it or not, and I'm super glad that I did. Do you have a card that has been tampered or altered with that's authentic, that you're really happy that you've added to your collection? If so, put it in the comments below. Let me know all about it. I'd love to find out, and I'll respond when I can. It's getting cold outside. I'm going to head in, so take care, and I'll see you down the road.